I was born in Belgium. When I was 2 years old, my parents moved to Mexico City, where I was raised. When I was 14, we then moved to the U.S., where I've been ever since. I went to college at Georgia Tech and got a master's degree at Penn State. I started my career working for several chemical companies in their sales and marketing area. Back in 2002, eventually joined G Expertise, which is a company that was founded by my father. And I have been here ever since. I'm now the general manager of G Expertise. In one of my previous jobs, I worked for a Spanish company called Cepsa, and I was their marketing manager for North America. And I actually reported into an office in Brussels. My boss was in Brussels, which is a great opportunity for me because I got to travel to Brussels on a regular basis. No, we do not have offices. I have a representative that works for us in Honduras. He covers the Honduran and Guatemalan market. But I myself cover all those different areas. We do have a consulting office based in Brussels, but we don't have offices in other countries. Well, I certainly had a little bit of a adjustment coming from a very large multinational Fortune 500 company. Prior to coming to G Expertise, I worked for a company called Ashland Chemical, which is a Fortune 500 company. And so I transitioned from that environment in Columbus, Ohio, so a very Midwestern environment, to Miami, working for a very small company. The transition from a Midwestern company again to a company that solely deals in foreign business. Again, we buy in Asia and we sell in Latin America. It was a bit of an adjustment. I mean, here in our office here today, we have primarily our staff is 100% Latin American. We actually do not have one true American that was born here in the U.S. All of our employees were born elsewhere. So we are truly a melting pot and that's what Miami really represents. Miami is really a melting pot. Culture conflicts occur a lot, and you've got to learn to be able to deal with them. With regard to answer your question directly, with regard to our European counterpart, we don't really have too many conflicts. But where the conflicts do come across is when we deal with Asian cultures, which is a very different culture than the Latin American culture. So in that regard, you really have to learn to understand and work within the frame of that culture. Asians are very indirect, okay? And so you've really got to learn to understand what exactly they're saying, not by just their words, but their body language. And Latin Americans are also very cautious. So you also have to learn and understand what they're really telling you, not just by their spoken word, but again by their body language. So it becomes quite challenging when you get yourself in a meeting and you have an Asian representative, one of our Asian representatives, you have one of our Latin American clients, and then ourselves. One of the big roles that we play is as a mediator, communication mediator. This gentleman will say something, and then you'll have to, even though everybody speaks English in the room, you'll have what he meant to say is, and then when my client makes a statement, they say, well, what he meant to say is, so that everybody understands each other. And you try to do that in a very non-confrontational manner. You don't want to offend anybody. All you want to do is facilitate communication. In Asian cultures, particularly, you clearly see that there is a gender preference and also a hierarchical preference. That is, that if I'm sitting in a meeting and I'm with my boss, as an Asian, I will not contradict my boss, and I will wait for my boss to answer first, because he is my boss. Here in our Western cultures, we're much more open about those things. Yeah, I have an engineer here in our office who is a woman who is Peruvian and is very capable. And I know that it must be at times a struggle for her to go into meetings and gain the respect of a male-dominated culture that you find in our business. Clearly, we do not have as women counterparts either with our clients or with our suppliers. Here in the U.S., I feel that the organization is much flatter. So I, as an employee, I feel much more empowered to say something that may or may not be to the liking of my boss, because him or her will respect what I say. And I'm not talking in general, obviously. I think that in Latin America, what I see is much more fear of reprisal, which I don't think, at least I've seen in my career here in the U.S. Be well read on what's going on, not just in your country, but in other countries. If you get an opportunity, obviously travel for leisure to get to know some of these countries and make an effort to learn another language.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And have a good day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.
Bye.